Hey, welcome to the 65 podcast. Today, I'm Dorian, and she is...
I'm Phoenicia.
She is, and sitting right next to us is a wonderful member of the Union League Club of Chicago. Her name is Brooke Webster. Hey.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome,
Brooke.
Brooke
In the building.
Brooke is in the building. So, Brooke, you've got so much, like your life is, for people to know what you do, first of all, we want to just talk about you being a member of the Union League Club of Chicago. What made you, out of all the clubs that Chicago has to offer, want to become a member of the Union League Club?
Well, I mean, I think, first off, Andy Sokol, who I think has brought a lot of members in, I went to grade school with him.
You went to grade school with Andy?
Yes. So
was he as crazy as he is now?
He's exactly the same. Maybe a little bit more hair on the top of his head.
Oh.
And he's amazing. He's an amazing guy.
And Andy's amazing. And, I had been living in New York City for a long time. I grew up in Oak Park. I came back, and Andy, during the pandemic, was like, listen, I found a place that's great to work, and it's right up your alley because, our family loves art. My mother was an artist. We used to go down to the Art Institute every weekend. And so all the different things, we're community activists in our family. We volunteer. So everything that he was speaking to me was talking right to me. Historic place. So for me, it was like, I took a tour and it was a no-brainer, except for you got to get permission from the wife.
Oh, yes,
right.
Exactly. You got to make sure, is it okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and how long have you been a member now?
Almost 2 years.
Okay, so I see you at a lot of events.
Yes.
Talk about that, the events that you would send. I see you at wine events.
So I'm a member of the Wine Club and the 100 Pointers Club, which is an amazing deal for the events that are offered.
Yep.
And it's amazing that, I'm in the wine business. I'm a sommelier for many years. And when you get to come to something like the wine extravaganza or a winemaker event, you're getting world-class wines at way a better price than anywhere else you could get them. Mm-hmm. So you're getting that kind of contact and attention or education. Even as a sommelier, I always need more education. I went to the Greek wine event, and I represent Spain and Portuguese wines because it's always important to expand our palates. And so, being a member of the club, if you're a wine lover, is amazing as well as all the other things.
That Greek wine event was a big hit. Everybody talked about that.
You know what I loved about that is, for me, so I'm an importer of Spanish and Portuguese wines, and I deal with restaurant owners and chefs and retailers, and not only it was cool to see the team, the F&B team here, work with a known chef from the community, and I think that is just that kind of
nice
coalition and kind of being like, we're showing off our club, but we're showing off our city too, and the restaurants need us, even more sometimes than a pandemic. The restaurants really need us right now, so that was really cool.
Really cool because, I know that you owned a bar, a restaurant in New York.
Yes.
And did you own, so was this post-COVID or how long?
No, this was a long time ago.
A long time ago?
Younger than I look.
Yeah, a long time ago.
So
why did you give it up? Because you don't own it anymore. What happened with that?
I opened my first bar in 1995.
Wow. Okay, what was I doing
Side.
then? Okay.
We don't want to know.
I don't want to know. I want to talk about it.
I had just turned 25 years old.
Wow.
And I went to New York, and I was doing all this community work. I was working for a non-for-profit. But I also went to New York coming from Chicago, where we love house music and we love indie rock and we love soul and funk and gospel and blues. And I grew up going with my dad, to blues fest and jazz clubs and learning about all music. And I felt like when I went to New York, I was like, to go, I'm a gay person, so to go to a gay club, you had to hear the music I didn't really care for.
And what were some of those songs?
It was just bad remixes.
Yeah.
And pretending to be house music.
It's nothing like bad remixes.
It's always pretending to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Pretending to be house music.
Yeah.
And for me, that was insulting coming from Chicago. I was like, wait a second.
Let me show you how
this is not house music. And so I wanted to create something that was about representing everybody. Spoken word poets, not one note, not one culture. So we started this Saturday night party. I was working for a not-for-profit. We started a Saturday night party.
Right.
$10 in flyers. Passed them out in the community at different clubs and stuff. This is before cell phones, or you could promote online. We even did a mailing for one of the future ones. The first night line out the block.
Yeah. The mailing, back then, those mailing were good. They
we
worked.
had lines. We had like bands from 7 or 8 to live bands from 7 or 8 to 11 p.m. and then 11 p.m. to 4 we had DJs.
Wow.
And so it was
4
funny.
in the morning.
Yeah, because New York's a 4 in the morning
Yeah.
town.
Yeah. They
So
sure
then,
are.
like
City that never
the guy
sleeps.
Sorry.
the guy that owned the place, after about 3 months, he was like, listen, the only night that's got a line around the block is your night. Do you want to
Wow.
buy the bar from me?
Wow.
And I was 25, and I was like, I mean, this seems like a good opportunity, right? I was buying it for a great price. And I'd been working another job throwing those Saturday night parties, so I hadn't done anything with that money. So I bought a 12-year lease
Wow.
and the bar and the liquor license and all its stock, and then
What
all of
was
a
it?
sudden I was 25 years old and I owned a bar.
What
That's
was
amazing.
it called?
Yeah.
Meow Mix.
Meow
Mix. Wait a minute. Where
This
did
is
that
the logo.
Oh wow! Can you guys see that?
You can
It's
see that
amazing.
video later.
So you have that was the logo, and is this R2D2 on your?
R2D2,
Okay,
yeah.
I love that.
Huge
Yeah,
Star Wars nerd.
me too.
So did it stay open for the 12 years?
So it stayed. We stayed open. Well, we stayed open for 10.
Yeah.
They had some, like landlords would try to get people out. This was the Lower East Side, East Village at its height, right? Mid 90s, New York. You got to think about everything that was going on there at that time. We had a great mayor, it was Dinkins,
I remember him.
and then Giuliani came in, and he
Yeah.
kind of there was all these laws about dancing that he enforced.
Oh.
That were racist laws that were put together in the 20s called cabaret laws to keep jazz clubs down in Harlem.
Oh.
And so after the 20s, no one had ever enforced it. And then Giuliani came into power and he enforced it. So we would get raided every
Not surprised.
weekend.
So
America's
what does that
mayor.
mean? What is a dance law?
It means if 2 to 4 people are moving multiple body parts with
What?
any amplified music on.
God, we don't have anything like
And
that
so
in
they
Chicago.
would come on Fridays and Saturdays and ticket me, like in our busiest time.
Get out!
Thousands and thousands of dollars of tickets. This was a huge thing during Giuliani. Even there's somebody caught him dancing a little bit somewhere that didn't have a cabaret license and tried
Right.
to tweet it out.
Yeah.
And people came together. We had a whole, the guy who owns City Wineries across the country, who had a knitting factory at the time. We were part of a coalition to try to be like, hey, we're just small business people trying to keep open. People should be able to dance. New York City is the place that never sleeps, but
No.
people can't dance.
But
Yeah.
wait, what do you think? What was his motive?
To get money for the city, to also close down places that he thought were maybe not what he wanted in the city, because he wanted to invite developers or certain neighborhoods. It was a lot of money for the city, so he wanted to show that he was the
the
same
mayor,
way
America's mayor.
He
Yeah.
had people arrested
Yeah.
for cleaning people's windshields and for sitting on a pregnant woman got arrested, and these laws that he enacted for sitting on the subway stairs because she was tired.
Yeah.
And, there's things like that happened those years. And so, anyways, culture, we always do. We always keep it going. So, Meow Mix was open for 10 years. A lot of great bands were seen there. Some bands got signed.
Do you miss it? Do you miss that owning the bar and just that experience of those years?
I have moments,
Yeah.
but, I can't do that 5, 6 a.m. lifestyle anymore.
You know,
Back
times
when you were, what
they
you
do
said, 25?
change. Yeah. You get to a point
It's
where those
different when you're
hours.
53
Yeah.
now, it's a
Yeah.
little different,
Been
but,
there, done that.
But I do see when people, I would like to do something maybe in my retirement that I could come in one day a week, but not a late night place.
Yeah.
Music, definitely. Always music.
I love house music. I
Yeah.
love New York. New York is such a great town to really
Wait,
party and to
so do you
to
dance?
dance. Yeah.
I love to go dancing.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I was a DJ for a long time too.
Oh, so
I
you
DJ'd on my own,
spin.
Yeah.
DJ.
BK Brewster.
Wow, DJ, give it to us again.
BK Brewster.
I wish we had the turntables here and we can kind of do a little something.
We should do an open turntable night here at
Hey,
the club
we
down
should.
here.
We should. So, Brooke,
But
you've been
bands
traveling.
like Slater
Yeah.
Kinney got signed there. And movies like I was in this movie called Go Fish from Chicago. But the directors, Kevin Smith, made a movie called Chasing Amy.
Okay.
And my bar, and I'm in 2 different scenes, but my bar and myself are in the first part of that movie, Chasing Amy.
It's amazing.
Okay.
And it's as itself, as
Okay.
comics.
Yeah.
So a lot of historic things happened there. Bands
Yeah.
got signed. Slater Kinney got signed there. Kathleen Hanna, who is a big Riot Girl, famous musician, met Ad Rock from the Beastie Boys, and they got married. And
So
they
it's a lot of
used to come
history,
together.
yeah.
There's a lot of music history. There's some of our stuff that's in the Smithsonian. There's some of our stuff that's in the Lesbian Her Story Archives. it's kind of a crazy. I get recognized. I just got a call yesterday that a place in Boston near Fenway wants to have a Meow Mix tribute party, and they want to fly me out in August to honor it and honor its culture.
Let's do this. Let's do it. Well, because I'm thinking of why not have a Meow Mix here in Chicago? Like, no, Chicago doesn't have it. I think it'll be booming.
You know, Chicago, I feel like has more renaissance of those kind of bars. You know, LGBTQ safe spaces that are more for women, queer women, than that we've ever had before. Nobody's Darling on the north side, Split Rail, underneath Dorothy's downstairs, the Whiskey Girl Tavern, one of the best places to watch sports for the lesbian community. And that's all happened in the last couple of years. But most of those kind of bars have closed, you know, because it's expensive.
Yeah.
And they used to say to me, oh, well, you know, you should have a bar that leans more for gay men, right? Because what happens when women get together, they stay home. Right? And they stay together, right?
Right.
But men still keep going out, and they have more disposable income. So it was a little bit of everybody, but it was like more towards that, and it had its time in history. And then I opened a second place after September 11th. You know, I owned that place during September 11th, which was
that was you were in
really
New York
intense.
when 9/11 happened, and that was a tough time, though.
It was a tough time because my bar was about we were on Houston, so that's like 0. So we were about 25 blocks away from where everything happened. So like during that whole week, people that didn't now think about everybody that moved to New York, they keep their licenses from wherever they are.
Right,
they don't
right.
change their to a New York license. They're probably not even driving in New York. So you think everybody that would come, all my staff, they had to have IDs. There was military checkpoints because we were still so close
to where it happened, ground zero, yeah.
And you know, we lost some people, you know.
Yeah.
So our firehouse where we knew the guys, they were in a band.
Wow.
Monday nights was like kind of the open mic, and we used to laugh about it because it was kind of the heterosexual bands would play on Monday nights, right?
Right.
Because it was everybody was a community of everybody. So this band called the Bullies would play. They were all firemen. Mostly had just got married, and they were in that house, and they were some of the first firemen in.
That went up in the first hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
So
kind of tough.
we lost a lot of people then. It was a really crazy time, and we're even losing people now that breathed in that air.
right.
The air
Yeah,
was crazy.
so many of them.
It reminded when we started wearing masks for COVID. It reminded me of those first couple months where we had to wear bandanas.
Yeah.
Because the air was so crazy. So owning a bar or being a small business person during that time, and then you know, demographics changing. I opened a second bar in Brooklyn called Caddyshack.
Caddyshack. Is Caddyshack still there?
With 2 T. It's still there. It's called the Rock Shop right now.
The Rock Shop.
Someone bought it. Yeah.
Interesting.
And I had that was bigger. I had outdoor space because the smoking ban happened while I had Meow Mix.
Oh, of course.
And that changed the dynamic of
So you
like.
need outdoor seating.
No.
Well, that changed the dynamic. You think about the really attractive person leaves to go have a cigarette.
Yeah.
They have to leave their drink inside. All those people go outside and hang out with that person.
Yeah.
Even if they don't smoke.
Right.
And then you're lost a whole round. You lose
Wow.
we lost maybe 20-25%.
Yeah.
Not to say that I didn't enjoy the fact that it was in a smoke-filled room and think that was an important thing to happen, but having outdoor space. So we built a bigger place in Brooklyn where we didn't have to have a line out the block, except maybe if it was gay pride, and that was open for 4 years. And it was Caddyshack 2 T's, even though I'm a dog person.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep the Meow Mix theme.
I like that.
Okay.
It's pretty smooth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, just kind of a double meaning and whatever. Everybody's welcome, but this is run by some cats.
Here's
Some
over here,
cats.
so don't get it twisted. Yeah.
And we probably had the biggest all-women security team out of any of the nightclubs in New York.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, a lot of cool things happen.
Yeah, but a lot of cool things have happened, but a lot of other cool things happen too in the
Yeah.
right. Because now tell people what you do, because you're always traveling. You are a distributor.
Well, I'm on the distributor side, so the way that liquor and wine, we always have to explain this to people in Europe, is that we can't sell directly. I can't sell directly to the consumer, and the distributor can't sell directly to the consumer. So I work on the import side.
Okay.
So we sell to distributors, but we also try to help in whatever markets we're in charge of to like train, you know, distributor sales staff, restaurant staff. We're at a moment right now in hospitality where people need a lot more training and help. So I work for a company called Ole and Obrigado that's been around for, this will be the 26th year now. We're the first carbon neutral certified importer, which means everything that we do, it's like you're buying local wine.
Okay.
So from getting the wine to the States to me printing out a sheet, from me driving somewhere for an appointment. We document everything, and instead of the owners of our company putting profits in their pocket, they take exactly that many emissions and they fund 3 projects that are overseen by NGOs. And actually, the founder of our company is going to be on Sylvia Perez's show tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Tomorrow, 12:45, to talk about that because Earth Day is coming up.
Earth Day is coming up.
So we represent 200 artisan craft wines from Spain and Portugal. After my nightclub days in New York, I became a sommelier and ran some pretty great programs in Martha's Vineyard in New York. I was the wine director when Dusix in Chicago got the Michelin star. I did the first 600 SKU wine list at Porto that also got a Michelin star and an award for that wine list before the pandemic. And then pandemic happened, and I thought I could never, you tell your parents, no, I'm in hospitality, I'm never going to lose my job.
Oh, no, what happened?
It's always going to be worth. They can't move this factory somewhere else.
Right.
And then that happened, and we were all like, I don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it?
So I had a position with Bonhomme Hospitality Group, and we were all furloughed. And I had been putting these wines from this particular company on my list in multiple cities because I love this portfolio so much and really believe in it because it's not factory wines. It's worldwide, award-winning wines made by cooperatives, peoples, families, couples who are good to the earth, right? They have to have the same DNA, but also make really amazing world-class wine. And so Spain and Portugal, and then we have spirits from around the world. So we're called Ole and Obrigado Wine and Spirits with Heart and Soul.
Yep.
Because we also fund a couple projects with a couple of our wines as well. So I'm blessed because I busted my butt for years in hospitality, did all the late nights, ruined your hands because you're either doing volume bartending or opening up 1 million bottles of wine or training people and being there till 2 a.m. because no one can cover a shift. And then during the pandemic, they came to me and offered me a job.
But then you were ready. You were prepared because you had already set forth all the work that you had already put in.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I knew the portfolio, but I also, really love the wines. But I also can go, I was in that position a long time where people would come and try to sell me a wine or talk to me about a portfolio. And I could always tell if they were the kind of person that was a salesperson. They could be selling insurance, energy drinks, wine. It didn't matter.
Yep.
But there's a difference when you have the passion of who you're doing it for, but also the position the person is you're talking to. I know what they're going to do.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
I know if I have to wait a little bit for them, that maybe someone called into a shift and they have to find somebody, or they have to or the chef needs something, and I know their reality of how hard it is to run a restaurant from both an owner's perspective and also being somebody who ran operations and beverage for other hospitality organizations. So I feel very blessed to do what I do. So
and you're happy about it because you always come in and you just always have a really good demeanor. Brooke comes in and you're always excited. What's the most? And I know you travel a lot, so if you had to pick and choose and say what would be different than what you did as a bar owner and coming up there and then what you really enjoy now.
I think when I was a bar owner or even running a restaurant, there's that moment where you have a magical night and the team is all working and you can tell the customers and the guests are so happy because you've created a vibe that makes they're spending their hard-earned money. They should feel like they're somewhere else. They should feel like they're away. Just like we feel like we're at the club, right?
That's right.
You should feel, relaxed. And when that vibe happens, we would have a night where the DJ was on fire, a band played that, and you just see people smiling. Or years later, I'll run into somebody in an elevator in New York City, and they'll be like, I met my girlfriend, and now we're married 18 years because I met them at Meow Mix.
Wow.
Or we had our rehearsal dinner with you, at one of the Bonhomme Group properties, or in New York because I worked at Yotel in New York. So when you run into people and you realize you were part of some of their happiest moments, those are the things.
Makes you feel good. Yeah.
And I think now, and even sometimes, I'll do a staff training before a pre-shift. Pre-shift is when the team gets together before the night on the restaurant floor, right? And it's the moment where they get all the information. These are the specials. These are the allergies. This is what we're out of. This is what we're focusing on. And so sometimes I'll be brought in to do a training on 1 or 2 wines. And I'm like, we get all hyped up at pre-shift. Like, we're going to have a good night. And then they go on to have pre-shift, and I'm like, oh, I
You
get to
just
go home
said-
to my
yeah,
wife
right.
now, which is great.
Right.
Because for so long I never I would
That
get
was
to see
you.
my family and my friends never on a regular day.
Right.
You know, oh, can you hang out on a Monday? No one wants to hang out with you on a Monday
No.
if they have to work on
Right.
Monday, right?
Especially.
So now I get to have like, you know, somewhat, even though we work a lot of hours and sometimes we work weekends, I get to have, you know, more of a freer schedule to see people in my life. I get to see my immediate family more. But I get to go to Spain and Portugal with some of the best restaurateurs and retailers from here, and to go see some of the most inspiring places and people doing something great that ends up, you know, where you can say like, you see all this work that ends up in somebody's glass.
Yeah.
And the people we brought on trips before are like, oh, now I really get it. Like, I'll never complain on the price of a bottle of wine.
See, because
Especially
some
something
people don't
that's-
get it until they.
especially
Yeah.
there's something that's made, you know, not in a factory, not with chemicals, hand harvested, no irrigation. Where that all makes. If you know a little bit about wine, that makes it yummier, right? You
Yes.
should never have wines where they use oak to hide flaws in wine. You should taste the wine, right? So most great winemakers will use used. You know, sometimes you'll see something on the back that says used American oak or used French oak or large. Why is that important? Because if it's used, you're not imparting like the flavor of the oak on the wine. You're using it to calm down the tannins or things that might be too harsh, but you're still tasting what's happening in the vineyard.
Got it.
Oh, okay.
Great winemakers make wine in the vineyard, and that's important for us. Why? I mean, we see all the wildfires and what's happening in California and Napa.
Yeah.
We need to have. Are we going to have wine in the future? Because if we don't take care of the earth and we just continue to support, you know, factory wines that are not good to the earth and they don't have a pledge to be good to the earth, we're not going to have wine regions in the future. And that would be very sad.
It would be very sad. Oh my God! Hopefully that will never happen, especially with people like you and advocates that we can't have that, because that would be devastating. It would be,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
no, it would be horrible. But you're definitely a person that knows exactly about the wine business, and you have a passion for it, because not everybody, and that's what I just kind of got from what you were talking about. People can talk about it, they can kind of sell it, but if you're not passionate about what you're selling,
Right.
then it's not going to really make a big difference.
Well, and that's the same thing with like, you know, training young hospitality staff that want to be in this business. Is like, I don't want to give you the words that you're going to regurgitate.
Yeah.
This is not like I want you to understand why you think about the wine and what are the 3 words that you are most passionate about with the wine tableside.
Yeah.
Because people are going to feel that.
Yeah.
You don't have to say exactly. You don't have to get the same flavor. Everybody should have their subjective wine flavor, but you know what they like. But also be adventurous. I always
Okay.
tell people, drink something where you cannot pronounce the grape. Right? Don't keep drinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Well,
So
I am.
but before
Yeah.
before we let you go, I had also heard that you were a part of the Girl Scouts of America. Did you
Yeah.
want to talk about that before you get out of
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
Talk about it.
I think it was the 3rd and 4th grade. It was probably my first like sales job, you know, because I really wanted to win the cookie. I really wanted to win like the most sales of cookie boxes. So I feel like it was like my first foray into sales with the Girl Scouts. But yeah, also being a part of something, you know, we got to be, you know, a part of a group of people trying to have one goal together and then sometimes achieve other things. And I think that was, for me, those programs are so important to having socialization and being able to figure out how you're gonna, what the things that you like in the world, right? Like getting to try out different, being like, okay, maybe I don't like that, but I like this. And then feeling like you've achieved something was great, being part of it.
Now, was that simultaneous to you being a sommelier, or was that before?
No, I was very young.
Oh.
I was very young.
So, and I know this too, and I know that our time is kind of, we love having you here, but I want to kind of talk about too some of the things that you also have a passion for, and that is the Chicago Sky, the WNBA, which I must say that, oh my God, the WNBA here has, throughout the years, has been really gaining ground as far as support locally, nationally, and it's been building, and what just happened the other day with Chicago, the Sky actually getting the 3rd pick in the draft and also the 7th pick in the draft. How excited are you and how involved are you with the WNBA?
I mean, after 26 years of being, and before that, I used to go to the Chicago Hustle games when I was little.
Chicago Hustle.
Yeah, that was the last professional women's league before the WNBA.
Wow.
And Rita
Now I didn't know
Easterly-
that.
I didn't know that
I didn't know
Yeah,
that
they
at
used
all.
to play at DePaul.
Wow.
And my dad used to be like, you cannot keep getting the same players' autographs after the game.
Really? You was that intense, bro?
Yeah. Jodie Fincher, Rita Easterling. Anyways, they used to play at DePaul.
Uh-huh.
And so I watched that happen, and then they went defunct, and it was so sad. And then 26 years ago, when I was in New York, I was able to buy my first tickets to New York Liberty.
Yep.
Which now we've gone full circle because those players would come and hang out in my bar afterwards. And
Nice.
Teresa Witherspoon was on that team.
Wow.
This is amazing.
And now she's our Chicago coach.
Wow.
Becky Hammond was on that team. So you see a lot of the history coming back. And,
Yeah.
now since I moved back to Chicago, I've had season tickets. And, sometimes there's like 3,000, 4,000 people in the stadium. And you're like, it's such an experience.
Yeah.
It's such a, I'm so glad that finally people are paying attention
Yeah.
to this.
Well-
And the fact that we have a Chicago team that plays at the Wintrust right here.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Because for a moment
Yeah.
they had a scare, like if they didn't think it was going to make it.
Yeah.
That they went through those years.
Yeah, and they were in Rosemont. And I think it makes more sense. Wintrust is a great place to see a game.
Mm-hmm.
Tickets are not that expensive. Everybody's entertained.
Yeah.
My wife, she doesn't love sports, but she has such a good time, right?
Yeah.
And it's really like the kids, like everybody can participate.
Yeah.
But also the game's faster.
The game is
It is
faster, and the
faster.
game is more enjoyable. And I'm gonna be honest with you, for the longest time, I knew the WNBA was there, and I following it, but not actually going. And my
Yeah.
first summer game was this past summer,
Yeah.
Brooke, and I were
That's your first game?
My first game.
What?
And I was sold. Phoenicia,
Where have you been?
I've been
Yeah.
here in Chicago, but just like a lot of people, like maybe not that we know that they're there, but going for the first time and to see the energy and to feel the energy in that place, I thought it was the most exciting moment that I've even going to the United Center. I mean, I had a great time.
Yeah.
And just watching the players go up and down and how the energy,
It's fast.
and it was great. And to see these young women be able to get on the floor and just trying to win, and to notice our banner. We have a banner now
Yeah.
because we won the championship.
right.
Yeah.
And I just think that more people need to get in tune, especially this year.
Buy some tickets. Support women's basketball.
There you
It's
go.
wonderful.
It is
It's
wonderful.
exciting.
Had you
It's
been in several
electric.
games,
Yes,
right?
yes,
That was my
absolutely.
first game, and I
Yeah.
told Brooke, like, what have I been doing? Like,
I mean, I felt that way about college basketball. I would
Yeah.
watch the men, but I'm like, the women's was more exciting than
Yeah.
the men. So, but they get all the glory,
Yeah, no, but I think the tide is turning, and it's just so funny to all of a sudden, like sometimes I always say that because I said this to you.
Yeah.
I have season tickets. I travel a lot. I don't mind giving my tickets away, but you better have your butt in that seat.
in the seat.
No
And my butt
excuses.
was in the seat, okay?
Because I don't like empty seats
Yeah.
at our Chicago Sky games, and we need to show the support for this league, and that Chicago wants this year. And I think this year we made two of the best moves
Absolutely.
in the draft.
Yeah,
And
it's exciting.
our neighbor Indiana has Caitlin Clark, and so those games are going to be super exciting.
Yep.
So I just hope that people will buy. Also, it's so affordable. You can actually bring your whole family.
Yeah.
You really can.
To the game.
And everybody will have a good time. Trust me. You would be surprised.
And when you're missing basketball,
Yeah.
the season is end of May through August, sometimes because of Olympics.
It does
the
happen
games are
quick,
late.
though.
Yeah.
I was telling someone that because
Yeah.
they just ended the season, got into the draft, and now the
Now it's
season is
right
about to
back.
start.
Yeah.
When?
No,
You got
Yeah.
May 28th. Is
May
the first
28th.
and the
Yep.
week before that for the preseason.
Yeah.
It's quick.
But yeah, May 28th is the first game, and usually there's a clump of games all together. So there's a game May 28th, May 30th, like so. I mean, if you can't go to the first game, go to the second game.
Go to
It
the
is a
second
good time.
game.
Bring your kids.
Yeah.
It's an amazing experience for
Yeah.
kids. I especially think young boys need to see the level of basketball that women are playing.
I agree.
To have respect. And
I agree with
understand.
that.
But it is a great, and I am such a fan, and I'm so glad.
is.
And I was like,
Die hard.
And we've had a hard time because we got rid of a lot of our players. So like, I have
Yeah.
all these jerseys
Yep.
of players that are not here anymore. So now I guess we're gonna. But Dana Evans, she's been there the whole time.
For
so
a
we gotta
while.
support
Yeah,
her.
exactly.
And yeah, we got two of the best players in the draft in terms of like a 1-2 punch.
Yep.
And we have a real center. We have a center from Brazil.
From Brazil, which is
It's
amazing. Yeah.
And she came to this country when she was 15 to play
Yeah.
basketball.
Got a
Didn't
great
know
story.
Anybody,
Yeah.
Didn't speak any English. This has been the first time she could bring her family over for the NCAA.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So
It's exciting.
stuff.
Very
Good stuff.
exciting
yeah.
year.
Hopefully, we can watch some games, some
Yeah.
play games here at the club.
Oh,
Hopefully
for
we
sure.
can.
I'm sure.
Get it
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Anything before we wrap up that you want to mention or you want to add?
No, I mean, being a member of the Union League Club has been really special. I feel very welcome here. My wife and I, both come to do work. Everybody will laugh. The staff will laugh at me because they're all working, but it's really nice to be able to invite family and friends. It's been great for my company. Like, we have all of our winemakers stay here. The owner of my company now stays here every time, and so, and the gym is great. So, like, there's just so many things to make you feel welcome here, and how grandiose is it to be able to come to this building and sit under the art here and work or have a coffee with a friend. A truly special relationship with this club that I'm so happy to be a part of.
Well, we're so happy that you took the time
That
out
was
to be
great.
with us today, and we're looking forward. We're going to join you with some of those games coming up.
Yeah,
Okay,
And in
Yeah.
Spain and
all right,
Portugal.
and
Wait,
Spain and Portugal. Yeah.